Imagine a loss so devastating, so catastrophically bad, that within just 18 months of its signing, it had helped plunge the entire global economy into the worst depression humanity had ever seen. It wasn't a war. It wasn't a plague. It was one single piece of legislation passed by two senators. Today, we're going to walk through every single agonizing step of what happened when America decided to start a trade war in 1930. And then, we're going to show you the chilling, almost exact same steps that are happening again right now. This is not a drill. To understand the disaster, we first have to understand the mood before it. It's 1929. America is absolutely booming. It's the roaring 20s, a decade of unprecedented prosperity. The stock market is hitting all-time highs. Unemployment is a tiny 3%. Everyone feels rich, confident, almost invincible. American exceptionalism isn't just a phrase, it's a feeling. But underneath all that glitter, there was a quiet murmur of discontent from one crucial sector: agriculture. American farmers were struggling. They faced increasing competition from cheaper imports, and they lobbied their government hard for protection. They wanted tariffs. They wanted duties on foreign goods to make American produce cheaper and more competitive. It sounded simple. It sounded fair. And Congress listened. So, in 1930, two senators, Reed Smoot and Willis Hawley, introduced a bill that would become known as the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. It was supposed to help American farmers, but it ballooned into something far more dangerous. Tariffs were raised on over 20,000 imported goods. 20,000. It was the highest tariff rate in U.S. history by far. The idea was simple: make foreign goods so expensive that Americans would only buy American. It was pure economic nationalism. But the global reaction was immediate, and it was catastrophic. Within weeks, Canada, Britain, France, Germany, every major trading partner of the United States, retaliated. They slapped their own tariffs on American goods. It was a tit-for-tat trade war that spun out of control in mere months. American exports, which were crucial to the country's economy, collapsed by a staggering 61% in just 2 years. The global economy, already fragile, began to buckle. The domino effect had begun. Factories dependent on exports closed, workers were fired. And the Great Depression, which was already brewing, was locked in by this single, disastrous piece of legislation. Let's see the domino effect. The economic impact wasn't just about trade. It spread like wildfire. Between 1930 and 1933, a mind-boggling 9,000 banks failed across the United States. Think about that. Almost half of all the banks in the country simply disappeared. People's life savings, years of hard work, vanished overnight. The average American lost 89% of their stock market value. Businesses couldn't get loans. Workers couldn't get jobs. Unemployment skyrocketed from that comfortable 3% in 1929 to a terrifying 25% by 1933. A quarter of the American workforce had no way to earn a living. The stock market crash of 1929 was certainly a huge blow, but the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, that trade war, didn't just cause the crash. It took a severe economic downturn and turned it into a decade-long, soul-crushing catastrophe. It amplified every problem and extinguished every hope. So what finally ended this economic nightmare? It wasn't clever economic policy. It wasn't a sudden burst of innovation. It was the massive industrial output demanded by World War II. It took over 15 years for the U.S. economy to fully recover from the depths of the Great Depression, a recovery that was directly fueled by the needs of a global war machine. The cost? An entire generation's wealth wiped out, a decade of despair. And the lesson was so brutally clear that global leaders, post-World War II, literally created institutions like GATT, which eventually became the World Trade Organization, the WTO, specifically to prevent this kind of self-destructive trade war from ever happening again. They understood that the prosperity of nations was interconnected and protectionism was a road to ruin. Now let's look at today. we are seeing policies eerily similar to Smoot-Hawley being enacted. President Trump's administration, for example, has enacted blanket tariffs on a wide range of goods from multiple trading partners, citing national security and protecting American jobs. This mirrors the broad, protectionist structure of Smoot-Hawley. Now, some economists will argue about the scope, whether today's tariffs are truly global in the same way or more targeted. But what's undeniable are the identical patterns: the rapid retaliation from other countries, the whipsawing of financial markets, and the political justification used to sell these policies to the public. The rhetoric of America first and punishing foreign competition is a direct echo of the 1930s. History, as they say, doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. And when the rhymes are this clear, this resonant, it's not just a coincidence, it's a warning. The same economists who accurately predicted the 2008 financial crisis are now sounding the alarm, drawing direct comparisons to the economic conditions and policy choices made in 1929 and 1930. We are currently navigating a world with rising inflation, slowing growth, and increasing geopolitical tensions. Throwing a trade war into that mix is like pouring gasoline on a flickering flame. Ignoring history is a choice, but it's a choice that often comes with a steep price. If this deep dive into how one seemingly simple law reshaped history and how its echoes are reverberating today made you think, then you need to hit that subscribe button. Because next, we're going to dissect the week before the 1929 crash, a week when everyone was celebrating, convinced the good times would never end. Sound familiar? Don't miss it. Subscribe to Histovra and ring that bell.